What's going on, guys? Abracious here. So today I will talk about the subject, which is my creation. So I call it for now random universal battles, because I found myself that I often don't know what do I want to play at UB, and I don't really want to play the same army because, yeah, if I have access to every army in the system, then I would rather play something different just to have fun, just to see how it goes. So I was watching the other day the Heroes free competitive matchmaking, and it came to me that it can be translated to the 9th age. So here it basically is. So we have two players. We randomly decide which is the player A, which is player B, and then we have a ban list. We ban total of 10 armies, 5 for player A, 5 for player B. This is steps 2 to 7. And then out of those 6 remaining armies, first the player A chooses one to play, and then the player B chooses one of remaining 5 to play. This is, yeah, I know I cannot call it exactly random, but the results are quite nice. For now, I feel like I would like to adjust steps 8 and 9, because for now I found out that player A mostly wants to ban weaker armies, or the armies that can make very specific counters, and player B wants to ban stronger armies, or generally the armies that are much more universal. Because at the point of choosing the army, you want to be able to counter each army with something. So for now, I don't really know which player is in better position, but I decided to go with 3 times ban for the scenario for player A. So player A is has a bit advantage in this case, but also I would like to have the scenario not to be randomized, but could be chosen. So what happens then? Both players create army lists. They send them to each other. They have, like, I don't know, 1 day for creating the army lists. They can be as tailored as possible. So what is the main goal of this exercise? I think that the main goal here is to find the things in the armies that are unexplored yet, and the theory behind this is, if you are playing against a very specific army, you can afford to bring things that seem stupid, but can work in the very specific matchup. And maybe if you play them in the very specific matchups, you will find out that they are not so bad in general as well. So this is something that I was aiming at originally. So I would guess that it should be best played with when the new version hits, and you want to have a overview of all the armies and try to extract as much potential as you want. I feel that this might be a nice way to prepare for the ETC, especially since at the ETC you cannot really afford to not know what one particular army does. So it is very nice to have few games with each of the armies. So I have some examples for you. I have 2 examples which were not played, which were just set up to see. I am marked with the green color. So in the first case I was player A, and we ended up with the Ogre Khans versus Warriors of the Dark Gods matchup. I think this is a very interesting matchup, but Ogres should probably take 2 cannons always. But I don't think that's a general thing. Because in the other matchup where I had Ogres versus Infernal Dwarves, I felt like bringing lots of Bombardiers is much better choice. And as well, you can see the scenario was capture the flags. I think the first table is kind of drawish, and then in the second one we got Vermin Swarms versus Infernal Dwarves. I felt pretty confident because as many times as I played this matchup, Infernal Dwarves went on top. We have a breakthrough, but breakthrough is kind of bad for both of those armies, so it doesn't matter. What I found very interesting about both of those trials was that I was able to consider my knowledge about the person I was playing. So I knew which armies they wanted to play or which they didn't want to play. So I went with my choices accordingly. And then I have one more example, which went into full battle. So we made a list, etc. So we see the Warriors of the Dark Gods versus Vermin Swarm. I think here the player A could done some things better, like eliminating Undying Dynasties and Vampire Covenants is not really viable, I think, since both of them are pretty well-rounded. As well as I think that the worst army in this thing is are Sylvan Elves, probably, just because it is very easy to side against them. Infernal Dwarves can also be easy in this case, but Infernal Dwarves at least, but not all armies can bring wards against fire, and the ward against fire isn't as devastating as the Pyromancy for the Sylvan Elves. So here I could have chosen something like Dread Elves against the Warriors of the Dark Gods, but I decided to go with Vermin Swarm and see what they can do. I think Dread Elves are very much in advantage against Warriors of the Dark Gods. When I played Dread Elves, I think the warrior players had no arguments whatsoever against my lists, so I didn't want to go into that. Also, the scenario we ended up with was Breakthrough, which was obviously favoring my opponent, since Vermins don't tend to go as fast forward, especially against warriors. Okay, so here are the lists we've built. As you can see on the first glance, I have much more units. Most of them are trash though, like I have 8 units in core, which I found very funny. I think the 18-inch General and 18-inch BSB was something I could afford in this matchup, because I was pretty sure that he won't have any decent way of removing them, and 18 inches 9 leadership and 18 inches BSB in Rats is very useful. I decided to try out Globadiers because I wanted to be safe against his heroes. I brought some specific things as well, like Hero's Heart and Binding Scroll for the Tyrant. So the Binding Scroll was in hindsight for the Comet, and Hero's Heart was a way to counter the Chosen Knights, which are probably one of the best books, one of the best units in the Warriors book. So with 7 attacks, Strength 5, AP 3, with Initiative 7, I think I could have I could deal with Chosen. But there are some standard elements like 2 Dreadmills. But I think that going out without a Dreadmill is pretty bad in Rats. So he had only 3 scoring units, which a bit surprised me. But he brought 2 Exalted Heralds and decided to have Fly on both of them, which was pretty annoying, I have to say. So the deployment went like this. I think there are several things that I would like to point out. Firstly, he should have noticed that the impassable terrain on the left is basically blocking me from deploying, from focusing my deployment over there. So his Chosen Knights and his Giant could have easily be positioned more to the center. Especially because Giants are pretty important in helping his Demon Prince. Second of all, I think that my positioning on Mid Grinder and Glob Launcher is a bit off, because I won't be able to really position them well into my Generals in BSB bubble, which you will see in turn 1. So he decided, we deployed right to the end, and he decided that he wants to start the game. So after turn 1, it looked something like this. He decided to rush everything. As you can see, the left Chosen Knights are left basically in the open. They are very far away from the action. You see my mistakes on deployment on the left side as well. The mid grinder and the globe launcher should be like, mid grinder is awfully placed because he's just over 18 inches from the demon, which my opponent uses to his advantage by forcing a terror check that I properly fail, and then he redirects into the globe launcher that is in general bubble but fails his leadership check and also goes off the board. So that was a huge mistake on my part, but it happens to everyone, I guess. The other thing that I would like to point out is that on the right side there are the three chosen knights. I think what he should have done with them, basically he should have bought a musician. Anyways, he should turn them back, because I think there was no way he would force he would force himself through this flank, since I had the Dreadmill there that could easily pick them, as he did with 4 wounds. And then I had the giant rat tyrant that was really prepared to deal with them, having lots of strength 5 AP3 attacks with higher initiative than them. Then, while he did a pretty good job at covering his Demon Prince with the warriors, I don't think that this was that necessary, since he could have positioned him off the Doomwheel range and off the magic range, and easily join warriors next turn, because warriors are significantly slower in this case than Demon Prince. I would not expect warriors to be able to charge turn 2 anyways, at least not in any reasonable distance. So it probably would be better to keep his Demon Princes a bit further off, just to be safer. So in my turn, I managed to get rerolls to hit on my Doomwheel, but did only 1 wound to the Demon Prince. And I think I killed something like 1 warrior. So let's go to end of turn 2. He got a 18-inch charge with a flying demon on my wheel on the left. With rerolls to hits in combat, I was quite sure that this is decent, since he has this was a very important demon because it was general with the comet. So I thought that this might be good. But for the next three rounds of combat, I think I did 0 wounds to him, which was pretty unexpected. He put his second demon in front of my giant rats and footpads, and I thought that this is a good opportunity to ping the demon, to pin the flying demon down, and I did so. In the next turns, he cast a comet near this Demon Prince on the right, just to free him out of combat. But unfortunately, doing so, he also did 2 wounds to him, and the Demon Prince died in the process shortly after. Also, he decided to give me an easy charge with my giant rats on his warrior's chariot. Since I'm movement 7 swift straight, I made it. It was, I think, 13-inch charge. I managed to get +1 strength off, since I rolled shamanism for my wizarding hat. And I managed to do 2 wounds to the chariot and break him. He failed to rally, and I managed to pursue him off the table. So, as you can see from his mistake at the beginning, the Chosen Knights and Giant are on the left are kind of late to the party. They won't be able to do anything significant for the rest of the game, which is kind of sad, but it happens. So this is the last photo I have, because from now on I managed to get a big banishment off on his Demon Prince after he freed himself from fighting the Dreadmill. I killed him in 1 go. I had 8 globadiers ready to finish the job, but I was ready to sacrifice them. So I was just happy to take off his general. The other demon prince died soonly after, and basically the game was wrapped. The warriors couldn't really charge the giant rat BSB since they only had shields. With strength 4 against the giant rat, they are not so good. So they maneuvered themselves a bit, but in the end got charged by the demon, the monstrous rat BSB, and the unit of giant rats, which ended by them getting caught. As you can see, I've managed to get the objective. I've lost many units, but most of them were pretty much worthless. So the game ended with 20-0 for me. So back to the original idea. What I would like to point out is that I think it can make really fun battles and really fun ideas to appear. Here I think we didn't have that much experience, but I know that when list building against, for example, Vermin Swarms with the matchup of Infernal Walls versus Vermin Swarm, I was pretty sure I want to take the Rocket Battery. Normally I considered it useless and didn't test it much, but maybe this could show me that I was wrong, since both Dreadmills and the Vermin Demon don't really appreciate the Rocket Battery. So if you are able and interested in playing multiple armies, not only the ones that you regularly play, I would invite you to try this out. If you want to play this kind of game against me, write me a message on either Twitter, Facebook, or on my email, and I will try to find some time to test this against you. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys.